What is your story of getting into a trouble after sending nudes to someone? Story 1. I had my girlfriend's name in my phone and her dad's name as girlfriend's name plus dad. I sent a dick pic to the dad's number. Luckily, he was cool about it and just replied, "I really hope this wasn't for me." Story 2. Once I got a new shower head and told my friend about it, and I sent her a picture of it. I didn't realize that it was super reflective. Like a mirror, she texted back, laughing. I was so confused. She zoomed in, screenshotted, and said, "Oh, that's what you look like, the horror I felt." Story 3. Dated a girl called Myrna for a while. She was really into sexting and quite kinky, and I sent her pure, utter, unadulterated filth in the form of 2 or 3 paragraphs. Ended up sending it to my mom. She laughed it off, but I've never lived that one down. Story 4. I accidentally sent a dick pic to everyone in my address book. Not only was it embarrassing, but it also cost me a fortune in stamps. Story 5. It was my first girlfriend ever. She sent me some and told me to send her some back, and so I absolutely did. Not just pics, videos, with my face, and embusting. Anyways, her phone gets taken away because she had shitty grades, and she used an old broken phone to text me. One fateful day, I get a phone call from the phone that got taken away, and I was excited because I thought she finally got her phone back. I answer and say, "Hello?" And it's a grown man saying, "Are you Colin?" To which I said yes. He then said, "Is this your dick in my daughter's phone?" And I froze for a few seconds and said, I'm sorry," and hung up. I immediately deleted all pics and vids of her and myself from my phone while he spammed my phone with more calls. Then I got some texts along the lines of, "If you don't delete the pictures and videos of my daughter from my phone, I will be calling the police because you have CP. I would also want to talk to your mom." I, of course, was shitting bricks. I tried to have a friend, also 15 years old at the time, same age as me, to act like my dad, but we ditched that. Eventually, I told my mom too, which she told my dad, and they called me a dumbass in many creative ways. After a week or so, my mom told me she had talked to my ex's dad and told him she needs to delete everything too, and that he can't call the cops because it was mutual. I went back to school eventually, and she kept trying to get back with me, to which my response was quite literally, "This won't work. Your dad knows what my dick looks like." She then proceeded to get really upset about my constant rejections and not budging by showing the videos, which I thought were deleted, to multiple people at school. Yeah, so there may or may not be some illegal videos of me icing my cinnamon roll floating around, but I've let that go a long time ago. Story 6. Let's just say there was a misunderstanding between "I want to see you naked" and "I want to see your baked goods." Needless to say, I won't be delivering any more cookies to my neighbor. Story 7. Not me sending but receiving when we were both 14. Her stepmom had found out, asked to speak with my parents, then forced them to look and read the conversation themselves, which was very strange and uncomfortable. We were planning to have sex that weekend. Her stepmom also involved the school for some reason. So the next week, she was placed in alternative school with the troubled children to keep her away from me. The entire, nearly 4 years of high school. State troopers came to speak with me at the school, but we were both under 16, so nothing was done. Never spoke to her again until fast forward we're both 18 and out of school, where I saw her working, which she expressed. She never got over me and hated her stepmom for everything. So I invited her to a party that night, where we ended up sleeping together and seeing each other for the summer, until she moved for college and I joined the Army. We wrote letters and maintained contact, but it ended shortly thereafter due to distance. Story 8. I sent some stuff I'm not proud of to a person online who sent it back to me with the threat to post it to all my socials if I didn't pay. Deleted my Facebook in a panic and ghosted them and hoped nothing happened. Nothing ever was posted to my socials since it is active now. This was during a very dark time during an ugly divorce. Not proud and also never shared that. 8 years ago. Story 9. Girl in high school took a picture of her U-Haul in the bathroom and sent it to her boyfriend, who then sent it to one friend. By the end of the day, everyone in school had the pic, even some teachers. Her nail polish was the giveaway. She left early and she didn't come to school for a week or so. Luckily, it was back in the early days of cell phone cameras, so the picture wouldn't follow her around. But she definitely got a lot of attention for a while. Story 10. Not really my story, but at a company I used to work for, my boss's boss, not accurate, but way high up in the company, multi-millionaire type, accidentally sent a nude mirror shot of him with one hand on his dick and the other arm flexing his bicep to every other person in a managerial role. He was also sticking his tongue out in a kiss-esque fashion. Presumably, it wasn't intended for his wife, 'cause they separated shortly after. Story 11. Didn't actually send nudes to someone, but I was extremely stupid for this. I had a picture where I mooned the camera to me. It was a funny, not sexual in any nature. I posted it to a social media website, Meet Me. I was immediately banned, and like a month later, police came to my door and had a long talk with me about the picture and how it's dangerous to post photos like that, because there are creeps out there. Story 12. Tried to send a dick pic to my girlfriend at the time. Accidentally sent it to my female friend who was next on the contacts. I was too mortified to say anything and she never brought it up. Years later, I ran into her on the street after she became a junkie. She stood there with a needle dangling from her arm, pulled out her phone, and showed me the pic which she had saved. I noped the fuck out. Story 13. A friend of mine once sent a spicy pic to a guy she was crushing on. Turns out he wasn't who he said he was, and he ended up sharing it with everyone at school. It was a total nightmare for her. Definitely not a risk I'd ever take. Story 14. Not me personally, but a friend of mine was working at a school recently qualified teacher. Basically, she was on a dating app and sent a guy some full bodies naughty pics. Anyway, turns out this guy was the dad of a student who found the pics and showed them around the school. Huge scandal. She ended up resigning after just 6 months. She now lives abroad. Story 15. Well, I used Snapchat in order to send nudes to a specific person, but ended up sending them to my entire friends list. I never used my Snapchat, but had a bunch of people on my friends list, which came from my phone book. I feel like technology changed so quickly, and I do not always change with it. That was probably 10 years ago. Needless to say, I still don't have a Snapchat. Story 16. Not me, but a guy I went to high school with sent a dick pic to a girl, but accidentally put it on his Snap story. His mom followed him on Snapchat. She proceeded to screenshot it and set it as the background to the family computer for a month because if you are comfortable with someone else's sister seeing that, you should be comfortable with your sister seeing it. Story 17. Somebody sent nudes to me and I was like, you don't have to, you do you. But they sent them anyway. Next weekend we were on a date and her mom told mine. She looked on her phone and said I requested nudes. Mom didn't listen to her. Story 18. Not me, but a friend of mine was sending nudes to people on Telegram. One day, some random chick gets me and more people into an Instagram group chat saying, "This is what your friend does online," and sending my friends nudes, ASAP. I talked to him, told him about that girl, and believe me, it was not a nice thing to say to a friend, but I really told him because that is what a friend would have done. I hope he stopped doing it after that. Story 19. Not trouble, but would be a massive issue of it worked. Was talking to a lady. She asked for pic. I used Facebook Messenger and my thumb hit the post story instead of direct send. Luckily, the AI shut it down. But for about 5 seconds, my world was spinning. Story 20. It was a brisk Saturday morning, and I had decided to send my girlfriend a pic of my nut hole. The thing is, it's not something I normally do, just spur of the moment kind of thing. That's when things took a turn for the worse. You see, I hadn't realized that she had left her phone at her grandma's house. Granny saw the pic and was super pissed.